One of the nice things about recursion is that you don't just have to recurse over natural numbers. You can recurse over strings as well. I mean, you can recurse over almost anything, and we'll see that in action once we talk about things later in the class. But in addition to just recursing over natural numbers or integers or numbers in general, we can also solve problems that involve recursion with strings. So, for example, let's say we want to solve the problem of counting the number of times a character appears in a string. So, we're given the string and we're given a character to look for, and we would count the number of times C appears in S. And we're going to do this using recursion. So, how might we solve this with recursion? Well, so we'll just call it CC for count chars, and we give it a string and then a C. Now, it's important to consider what our base case is. So, it's certainly true that if our string is empty, then we should definitely return 0, because how can there be an instance of C in S if S is the empty string? Well, it can't. Okay. What about when, so if this is not true, if the string is not empty, then we know that it must have a first character and then a remaining character, and then the rest of the string. So what we can do is do 1 plus count chars on the rest of the string, and I'll just represent that by calling s.substring. I was wondering how I wanted to abbreviate that, but remember that we can get the everything but the first character by just calling substring of 1. That will get everything from the first index, or index 1, up to the end of the string. Okay? So we're going to recursively call that with everything but the first character, and then just pass along C, if s.charat, now I just realized you can't see that. Well, let me do it like this. So if s.charat 0 equals C. Okay? But then what about when it doesn't equal that? Well, we can still recurse on the rest of the string, but we can just add 0 to it. So 0 plus CC, just do the same thing. So this is not the empty string. This is saying just repeat what we've done up there for otherwise. Now note that we don't need this plus 0, so we could just recurse without it, and I'll show both examples of what I mean. So again, the idea is if the string is empty, we return 0, because there's no instances of C in S. We return 1 plus the result of recursively calling the method if the first character is C, and then just recursively call on the rest of the string otherwise. So just let's see some tests here. So for the empty string, we have, of course, 0. For this string, let's say hello, and we pass the character A. There's obviously no instances of A in hello, so we return 0. There's one instance of H in hello, so we return 1. There's 2 instances of L. These are actually the same cases. I don't know why I did that. And this test case actually tests the same case as this, so we don't even need that. So it's kind of a duplicate. So this is really all you need. Okay? So, again, let's just do a case analysis over the string. So if s.length is equal to 0, then we can return 0. But notice that s.length can be equals 0 can be replaced with just s.isEmpty. So that's kind of nice. Well, a second case for if the first character, so let's actually break this up a little bit further. So if we get down into this else block, we know S is non-empty, because if it were empty, we'd be in this block. Okay? So we can get the first by just doing s.charat 0, and then if first is equal to C, then we'll do return 1 plus s dot, or we're going to make a recursive call, s dot substring of 1, and pass along C. Okay? Otherwise, we can just do return 0 plus that. But of course, we can then just simplify that to that. And then we're done. Okay? So let's run this and see what we get. And everything passes. Now, we could just put this here. Like, we don't need a separate variable. And in fact, we could just do return s.char at 0 equals c. Then we can use the ternary operator, which we learned about in class. So, if you remember, this says we're going to return something based on this condition. So, return, and if the first character is equal to c, then, we can read the question mark as then, we're going to return 1 plus count chars with the rest of the string. Otherwise, this colon is otherwise, we're going to return just count chars of the same thing. So just for parallelism, we'll put 0 plus, and then for this one we put 1 plus. Okay? Great.